I'm Matt Reynolds, and this is my podcast.
I can do the job, but running the business is quite difficult. What a lot of tradesmen lack, and I was probably one of them, is business skills.
I don't mind making mistakes. You learn from your mistakes.
Information is all around you in the minds of people that work beside you.
Welcome back to the Trench Talk podcast. I'm your host, Matt Reynolds, and today I spoke with Irwin Hau, the founder and director of Chromatix, a web design and conversion agency that specialises in captivating user experiences that drive results utilising human and behaviour psychology blended with web technology. What does that mean, you might ask? Well, Irwin and his team are very good at designing and building websites that convert traffic, that's people that visit your website, into inquiries, leads, quoting opportunities, bookings, phone calls, or whatever the intended goal of your website is. Their job is to make your website the hardest working and best performing salesperson on your team. The idea of these discussions, for those of you joining us for the first time, is to go into the trenches of achievement and talk not with people who are orchestrating from some lofty perspective, but to those high performers who are actually in the trenches honing their craft. That has included guests from the worlds of business, sport and entertainment, all of whom are on the front lines doing amazing things. From web design to development, Irwin and his team have created over 50 award-winning designs for their clients, which include the likes of Bowens Timber, John Sands, Light FM, Energy Networks Australia and Breadtop. During our chat, we covered a lot, including design and functionality aspects that make great websites, some of the common website mistakes which negatively impact website performance, the differences between website traffic and conversion, both are often misunderstood, and how each affects your intended website objective or outcome, why it's so important to check your website is working correctly regularly, and some tips on how to make that easy, website budgets and the level of build and service you can expect to get for your money, another commonly misunderstood aspect of websites, and as always, much, much more. You can find out more about Irwin and see the work he does at his seriously impressive website, chromatix.com.au. That's spelled CHROMATIX. If you enjoy Trench Talk, head to xrm.com.au/podcast and opt in for Trench Talk alerts. We'll make sure you're notified when every new episode of the show is released. Trench Talk is available everywhere good podcasts are served, so if you're feeling super nice, please leave a review, comment, rating, or whatever your chosen podcast platform allows. Enjoy this chat with Irwin Hau. Irwin, thanks for doing this.
Pleasure, Matt.
Now, we are recording this in April of 2020, which is a fairly significant time for the world, isn't it? Because we're in lockdown at the moment, and so we're not together today, although we have been obviously in the past. We're recording this over Zoom, so we're doing our right social distancing things. But look, it's a very interesting and challenging time to be a business owner at the moment, isn't it, given the restrictions we're currently facing?
Cabin fever, I think the two words that come to mind. Firstly, just being stuck at home. I love my home, love my family, but there's just so much of just the same scene again and again and again. And I've also got the kids as well now in homeschool. So I've got downstairs, got one room with the kids learning, the missus in another room doing her work, and me trying to run a business upstairs as well. So 3 for 1.
So when was the first time that you thought that this was going to be, and we won't spend too much time on it, we want to move on, but always interesting to hear when people first sort of thought, you know what, this is something that we probably have to give a bit of focus to, this is something that we probably have to consider, and this may indeed change the way that we work, at least for a little while.
I think for me, it hit me more in Feb. I actually came back from Singapore end of last year. I went to Sydney in Jan. We had the bushfires, if you remember. That was a bit crazy.
I do.
We thought, what could be worse? And this came. I think it was more Feb. It was just getting a bit crazier in China. And you kind of go, well, if this goes offshore, what are the chances? But, being optimistic now, I'm like, no, it shouldn't be too bad. But then you also realize, you watch how your clients react. I know the travel industry had been hit a lot harder and earlier with certain lockdowns. And so I guess it was just that preempting of it, just as I've observed my clients, really.
Yeah, I know for me it was right around the time that the Grand Prix got cancelled, and I started to think to myself, boy, if people on that sort of money and an event of that stature is cancelled, then we may be in for something that we haven't dealt with before, and we certainly have been. So for those that don't know you, the old barbecue question obviously is a great one to sort of get these things underway. When someone meets you for the first time and they ask, what do you do? How do you respond to that, Irwin?
Yeah, for sure. I usually start with, hi, my name's Irwin as in Steve Irwin. I get mixed up by Owen and other Ian and all those other combinations.
Yeah.
Irwin Hau is my name, but How is in how do you get people to call you from your website? That's a problem we solve. So in simple terms, web design development. The technical term is actually I'm a web conversion specialist. So what does conversion even mean? We blend human psychology with technology so that when people are on your website, they're more likely to call you. So you get more leads, really, is the promise that we give our clients.
Because when I first met you, one of the confusing things to me around this tech space has always been, I suppose, the complexities that go to it. And what you explained to me, I'm going to try and explain this back to you, and let's see if
if you're listening. Yeah,
I
like that,
so I was going to say, see if you're a good teacher, but see if I was listening. That's another way to look at it. So it's really when it comes to getting leads through your website or from an online presence, there's really two factors, right? There's traffic, which is getting people to look at your website, and then there's what happens once they are on your website, right? And I always had that a little bit confused. And what you told me that was that it's very easy to get traffic. If you have money, you can bid on the traffic and you can get it there. But the challenge becomes when they get to your website, do they convert? And of course, your traffic times your conversion rate equals your possible lead, client, opportunity to quote, or however your business sees those leads, right? So the space that you're at is once they land on that site. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Can I just say you're an absolutely fantastic student. You've pretty much got me word for word. And you're absolutely right. There's this magic formula. I used to call it a secret formula, but I don't think it's so secret anymore. Business is really simple when it comes to getting customers. It's traffic, how many people come, like you said, and a good conversion rate. But you're absolutely right. A lot of people forget and they fall down in the conversion area. And what does conversion rate mean anyway? It's actually just the sales process. It's just your funnel. But you forget that the website's at the start of that funnel. And so you spend all this money, like you said, you can just buy Google AdWords straight away and they'll come to your website. But your job and the task of your website is not that it just looks pretty. It is actually about mastering attention and driving action. And that action could be a phone call, filling out a form, hitting the book a demo button, that sort of thing. And so my job is actually more in that space of how do we make a website work so you get more leads. So.
And what's sort of like the philosophy around that? How do you think about doing that? Because I guess another way of asking that question is what makes a good website, right? Because there's so many different ways to go about it. There's so many different designs out there. So what goes into a good website result?
If I was to be technical, and the keywords you always hear in digital are like, UI, UX, analytics, all that kind of stuff. And what does that even mean? UI is the look and feel. UX is understanding your target audience and how they journey through the website, make it easy for them. Analytics is looking at data. And they're all important. But the biggest key for us that makes us different is that we actually play the human psychology side of things. We actually play the user, for a better word. We're one of the rare ones where we can actually get a zero brief, for a better word, and still build something that would actually work. And so for us, we lean on human behavior and human behavior principles. And we've actually made our own framework that works. And that's what we apply. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And so every website we build, we actually get stronger in our learnings when we apply these human behavior techniques to our site.
Because what you're doing with each build experience is that you're going back and then altering your process map or set of plans for building the site, right?
We're kind of like a learning machine. You build one, you deliver it, but then I've got some extra insight. And then we do it again. And there's a bit of A/B testing in there as well, Matt. You kind of get to try that. Oh, that didn't work. So there's this particular tool that we have that we've built in websites. And we've had, I think we're on Mark 4 or 5. We've just iterated so many times. We've even put it on our own website now. So if you check it out, you might see something a little different. And that's been working a treat. It actually really converted for one of our clients. And we thought, hey, if it works for them, we might as well practice what we preach. And we actually have just added to our site. So we're sharing the results there too.
So the A/B testing is when you have two different options and you see what the visitors choose.
Which one works?
Yeah. So I'm starting to get right out of my my sandbox here. But and then what you want to do is that you want to find out which one works better and then iterate that over time to continue to get better result, right?
Absolutely. The great thing for me is, you're absolutely right. You usually have a test case. You have something that's similar, you run them both, and you see which one works better. But the great thing for me is, and having run this digital agency, this web agency for 11 years now, I've seen 11 years worth of data across the board. We've worked with clients like Motorola, Fonterra, the big boys, all the way to small business. And we've realized common trends. And of course, there's specifics to each industry, but yeah, we've just tried to learn with each one and stuff and get better by comparing them with one another. And so A/B testing is done not just at a one-to-one level, it's actually across the board.
Do you have an example of maybe a common A/B test that you have run, just so I can understand a little bit more about exactly when and why you would use that? And I know that's probably extraordinarily a simple question for you, but for us who aren't in the game, it's important to understand.
Well, there's a couple of examples to go through. I can talk about, changing up offers and see which offer works better and that sort of thing. So you can have a promotion on your homepage. We can talk about the messaging. Just, are you able to articulate what you do quickly and simply on your website, and seeing which one resonates with your customer and your client, which one gets more. But messaging, a lot of the conversion can be in the messaging. Design makes a big difference, but that's a bit harder to A/B test. Funny enough, even little things like button color changes. If it's red as opposed to green, will it actually do better? And we don't know that answer. You have to actually try. So there's some specific ones, but there are certain things we've realized that work on all websites. And I'll give you one example. Just I'm preempting the question. What is it, Irwin? Having your footer on your website with all your contact details in it, maybe a form, a phone number, and your social links and stuff, that's actually a fantastic one. Because now you don't have to wait to get to the contact page to get those contact details. Every page becomes a contact page. That's the point, right? You don't want people staying on your website. You want them coming to you and contacting you.
You want them to move in a certain direction through the website, right? And I know that when I first met you and we had a good chat about this, I brought up the ClickFunnels sort of like philosophy, where there's basically a whole web page and then there's only one button to click at, right? So you can't go anywhere but that one spot. Whereas what you explained to me, and if I remember this correctly, is that you're sort of a bit of a balance between that real funnel approach and a traditional website. Is that right in a way?
Yeah, there is a balance, because let's be honest, a ClickFunnels is built as a hard sell website. It's like meeting a sales guy and they just come in, I hate it, and do all those kind of smoothly whatever bits and stuff like that, and it works, I guess, in some ways. But we want to do hard sell in a soft sell way, because we also understand, and we're all bombarded with information. We know we're being sold to. But the thing is, everyone wants to buy. We just don't want to be sold to. So it's knowing how to blend that balance between how do you look approachable and genuine while still asking for the sale. And so that's what our framework actually covers and allows us to balance that. So it's not just designer and just looking pretty, and it's not just hard sell, just about closing the deal. It's actually where the two come together. And there's actually a big middle part, which is just playing human psychology overall.
And what can you tell me about human psychology when you first look at a website? What's the question that you ask yourself when you audit a website from time to time to check in on what you could maybe a new client or something like that? What's the questions that you ask yourself?
Well, actually, there's two things that usually cross my mind. The two Fs, feeling and facts. So does it feel right? I mean, it's that first engagement. It's like going on a first date, right? I'm sitting down, I'm talking to, and the moment they come, I haven't talked to them yet. I can see them from afar. They're doing their slow-mo, swooshy hair thing. I see them dressed in a particular way, and that captures my attention. So it all starts with feeling. I've not asked them, tell me about you, what's your name? No, take it easy. Let's just take it in. So when I come to a website, am I drawn in naturally? Does it actually get my attention? Is it clear? That sort of thing. And so it starts with the feelings. But let's be honest, like that date, if I sat down, we're going to come to the facts. My name's Irwin. This is what I do. I'm writing a book. I run a business. I used to be an illusionist, all those kind of things. And you go, oh, that sounds interesting. Or what book are you writing? Or what's your business? Tell me more about that. Oh, you're an illusionist. Who have you performed for? And that's where we get into the fun, but the facts of it, the bits. And so I can say to you, you know what, I've been running business for 11 years, and I used to work in an ad agency, or two actually. You wouldn't just go, oh, okay, great. You just take my word for it. You go, oh, so what clients have you worked for? What were the agencies? And so you dig a lot deeper and stuff like that. So that's where we unpack the facts with credibility points, social proof. So they're the two main ones that go through my mind, and I play it like a first date. Does it get my attention? And is it clear with the facts of what they do and how that can ultimately solve my problem? Because I'm on the website for a reason.
So one of the things that when I first went to your website, because we should mention Robert from Sharper Cleaning, right? Because he actually made this introduction. So
shout out to Rob.
Yeah, and I think sharper.com.au is his website for all your commercial cleaning needs. Now, when he introduced us, he sent me an email and he sent me your website, and I went and had a look at that because, of course, when you get an email from a web designer, of course, you go and look at their own website and you see if it's any good. And I must admit that I was actually, for the first time in a long time, I was blown away by what I saw on the website. So you can maybe explain what you've done on your own website and the purpose of that flower, but is it important to have, as you said, this relates back to the feeling, is it important to have something that is just like, wow, like that's super cool. Like I want to see this even if I don't want a cleaner or a web designer or whatever. It looks cool.
I think just to describe our website, and if you want to check it out, jump on. And the challenge we always say is, if our website doesn't get your attention, you don't have to love it, just attention, because we're mastering attention, in 3 seconds or even less, then don't pick me for what I do, because I'm not worthy of that. It's the wow factor. Everything has a bit of a wow in it. But there's wow and there's relevance. So if you actually go to our website, I do challenge you to have a look at it again. There's a flower there. So a lot of people, I remember I sat down with my designer and she said to me, "Now, when we're not a florist, nor do you even like the color pink. So why would you have a pink flower on your website?" And I said, "You've got to trust me with this just for a moment, because the truth is, you want wow, you want relevant, but you also want to be different. We want to set ourselves apart from our competitors. We don't want to be like everyone else. So what does everyone else do? They're going to feature client websites as the first thing. That's what they always do. And if you look the same and sound the same, you are the same in some perception. Right? If you dig deeper, it might be different. But we thought we'd just put on its head just a little bit. Again, my job is not that you like me the moment you see me. The moment I can even get your attention, because there's so much noise and information. I just need to cut through that. So like your reaction, Matt, you went, whoa, that's for the first time. I actually see that. There's also one piece of, there's a trick we play. And it's actually the psychology, and based on this formula, is emotion plus information equals long-term memory. I'll say it again. Emotion plus information equals long-term memory. See, Matt, I don't know the exact date of when we caught up last. And I don't know if you actually had a sneaky peek at my website again recently. But hopefully you actually remembered that image in your head and it's stuck with you. And so I challenge you as a fun exercise. Tell me about any other web design you've ever seen, any of their websites. Tell me some. And I hope somewhere you'd be like, I can remember bits, but not really. But your one still stands out above everyone else. And if that's the case, then I've won you, because anytime you think about web, you're going to think about me. And that's what we do for our clients. We're position front of mind. And I've also got your attention now. So hopefully if you're looking for a website and you're on the website, you're like, oh, mate, if he can do it for himself, then I think he can do it for me too. Because that's a funny thing. I've got to fulfill that promise. But a lot of people say, oh, we do it. I write the words I can do it, but I don't actually do it. Proof is in the pudding. I don't care what I say. Check it out for yourself, that sort of thing.
Have you done that for other people? Because I'm assuming that, I have seen some of your work, and not every website that you do has a pink flower, of course, on it, right? So there's a relevance component too.
Absolutely. There is one client who actually said, I like your flower so much, I want something very similar. And so we did.
Oh, okay, cool.
But I'll come back to that another time. But absolutely, we give the pink flower effect. But remember, it's not the pink flower that you want. It's the psychology behind the pink flower. And like you said, let's be honest, one of our clients are Bowens Timber. We have tradies, and they deal with, timber, of course. They wouldn't want a pink flower on their website.
Of course
you wouldn't want even anything remotely close to it. But we still need to get your attention, because remember, the end game was never about the flower. The end game was always attention, mastering attention. So how do we get someone's attention? And how do we draw someone through a site to make them take action? So remember, attention to action. So, yeah.
Attention to action. So Do you have, and this may be sort of intellectual property that we're kind of moving into now, but
Secret sauce.
that's right, yeah. So if it is, then you want to keep it under wraps, fair enough. But after you have someone's attention, what do you then want them to do as they move through the site?
Yeah.
I guess a lot of this comes back to the purpose that actually sits behind, like what is your website trying to be, right? What am I actually trying to do with it? Is it forms? Is it calls? What's the purpose of it?
I'm going to ask a funny question. I'm just going to reverse things for a moment.
Sure.
Matt, you're on my podcast now. And so I'm asking you,
Ready and
what's
willing.
the point? Yeah. So what's the point of a first date? You're going on your first date. Let's picture the best first date you ever went on.
Yeah, okay.
What is the purpose of that first date? And I know you might have a funny answer. And I've asked this question before. I got some really... out of curiosity, what would you say?
I guess just to make sure that the person that you're meeting with is not maybe too crazy, I guess. Make sure that there's a good connection and make sure that they're generally fun. Maybe you can see potential in the future. I suppose it comes back to a little bit what you're looking for, which is probably changes a bit from time to time in different stages of your life, let's be honest. Yeah, whether you like the person, whether you can see yourself trusting them possibly, there's got to be a reason to first of all go on the first date. So that's probably a component of it. But once you get there, I guess you just want to see some sort of potential for the future.
Yeah. If you think about that first date, you go on that first date because you actually want a second date, then you want a third date, fourth date, and hopefully with long-term in mind, hopefully something will come out of that.
Yeah.
You're not here to do everything on that first date. The aim is just to get to the second date in some ways, or the second step. In the same way, a friend of mine who's a professional cold caller, he said, "Oh, do you know the point of cold calling? Do you know what the aim of a cold call is?" And we don't do outbound, but he said, "Do you know what the point is?" And I said, "To close the sale, get the sale." He goes, "No, the next step is just to get an appointment. And at the appointment, you share your value. And when you share your value, you then get a proposal. So there's a step."
Yep.
And so my question is, what is the purpose of your website? See, to me, getting your attention is one thing, but I just want an appointment with you. I just want the next step. I just want the second date after the website. That's the point of a website. Unless you're e-commerce, you just want to make the sale, right? But I'm assuming you're not selling e-commerce here and that you're a service-based business. You could be, a lawyer, you could be a tradie, an accountant, don't care what it is. You just want them to call you. You just want that first opportunity date. Because I kind of picture your website's like your best wingman. Think about it as your wingman, right? I'm not there to talk about myself. I need someone to speak for me. So if I was your wingman, Matt, I wouldn't want to just go, "Oh, yeah, Matt's a good guy, whatever. Yeah, no, I've got to be seen for you, man."
Yeah.
And so there's no point if I'm just talking about Matt, "Well, Matt's fantastic," and I just sit there and that's it. No, I go, "Hey, you know what? Let me get my phone. I've got his number. Can I hook you up? I just will hook you up. I pass it. I get your details. I connect you. That's it. I've done my job. A wingman's job is just to connect, and then you do your thing, right? And if they ever want to check in and say, "Really?" I'll be like, hey, Matt's the man. He's a good guy. Here's proof. Okay, I'll back off again. And so you need to build your best wingman or your best salesperson, I usually call, and stuff like that. So you get that first phone call. You get to that next base and stuff like that. But you asked me a question before, and I didn't actually answer. Do I have a secret formula? We do. But to make it easy for people to understand, we just explain the first date. Think about your first date.
Yep.
You want to get someone's attention. You want to be clear with who you are and what you do. I want to unpack all that with information. So on your website with images, with text. I want to show the credibility bits. I want to prove what I just said was true. So you might use awards, accreditations, association logos, testimonials, case studies, all those kind of social proof bits.
Yeah.
But don't forget to ask for that second date. How many times do you, on that date, you forget to get the phone number?
Yeah,
you forget to give your phone number. You forget to ask for it. You've got to have the guts to ask. So with your sweaty hands, you're going, "Whoa, bang." In the same way on your website, how many websites have you been to? And they just go, "We do this." And you're like, "I want you to ask me. I'm waiting for you to ask me. I'm dangling the little keys out to walk in my house. I want you to ask me for my number." And nothing. And so the same thing. But you don't want to go the other way. "Hey, here's my number. Here's my phone." You don't want to look a little desperate. You don't go too hard sell. nor do you want to forget the step. Imagine that on that first date, you go, I sound like more like a relationships coach or something like that, but imagine you went through that whole date and again with your sweaty hands, you go, I was just wondering if you'd go on that second date with me. And you're like, I'm really sorry, but it's a bit awkward. But I didn't catch your name. Like that's a buzzkill right there.
Yes.
And so you need to follow all those steps. And so just remember that story or that first date. Does it get your attention? Is it clear? Because let's be honest, if you looked at your own website like a first date, if you're looking and going, I don't want to look at it, I don't care for anything here, you'll just walk out of that first date. Same thing.
So, yeah, think about your website as a first date. That's a great way to look at it, clearly. So one of the challenges that I suppose I've had in the past, and I've seen with other business owners as well, is should your website be simply a lead or a quote or an inquiry generating machine, or is it also to, in some ways, entertain your current clientele? So that might be in the case of putting out information on a blog, maybe a podcast, maybe doing video, something like that. And then does that change in any way how that's got to be put together, because you tried to capture leads, but then you sort of got a library on the other hand. So how does that fit together?
Yeah.
Should you have two websites maybe even is an option?
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. The two actually play hand in hand on multiple levels, but I'm just to explain the two E's. There's inquiries and there's education, two E's, right? But you got to look at the sales psychology. And this is why I talk about human psychology. We can't look at the website for what it is, but the psychology. So there are two types of users. There are those who are ready to buy and those who are getting ready to buy.
Mm-hmm.
So there's ready to buy, like take my money, shut up and take my money, bang.
Yeah.
And there's, I'm getting ready to, but I'm just not ready for it. And then obviously there's a group that has no idea and don't know about it. So just leave that for a minute. They're on your website and getting ready or they're ready to buy. Your inquiry form and your phone number has to be ready for the ready to buy.
Yep.
And the other side, you mentioned a blog, could be a video, something entertaining or educational, usually more educational than entertaining. That's for the getting ready to buy. Why? Because you're showing them the value that you deliver. You're prepping them up. You're getting them ready. And indirectly, actually, funny enough, talking more digital marketing, SEO is about search engine optimization.
Yes.
SEO is just about ranking on Google. So if you want to rank on Google, Google loves words. Words are placed on a website. The majority of words, if you're doing some content marketing, is in the blog. And so as much as it's educational, it's also helping you with your inquiries. And that's why it's essential in some ways to educate, but also to empower your or Google to promote your stuff to make you go higher as well with your rankings. So, yeah, so they kind of play side by side and together.
But it's not as simple anymore, is it, of just loading up your website with a blog a day or 2 blogs a day or 10 blogs a day. That's not the only thing that is going to get you to rank well, right? Because, of course, there's different types of traffic, which we touched on before. There's the paid, which we did mention, and there's also the organic, right? It would be someone that goes to Google, for example, and types in web design or plumber or whatever, and then your website comes up as an option. So it's not the only component that helps with your organic ranking. So what are some of the other things that you need to look out for and be on top of? And bearing in mind that a lot of the audience of this podcast probably aren't getting deep into the ins and outs of a website, but really need to know, I guess, because it's it's a specialist thing for guys like you to do, but really need to have a good idea of the things to look for so that they can ensure that these are being done and give themselves the best chance.
This is stepping a little bit more into what we call traffic territory, because, again, I'm a conversion specialist, and like we said before, traffic times conversion equals customers. But there are some overlapping elements and stuff. The SEO answer, at a very, very top level, is really about getting, you need backlinks, links going back to your website to promote it. What does that really mean? Let's break it down in really simple terms. It's like a popularity contest. So I ask you, Matt, am I a popular guy? And you'd be like, oh, I don't know. Depends.
You might be about an hour and a half after this goes up.
Yeah. But you're going to ask, well, first we talked about our friend, Rob.
Yes.
So you might ask Rob and you go, hey, what do you think of Irwin? And he'll share his 2 cents and hopefully he says something nice because we know each other quite well. But you're like, that's a little biased because he knows you. So I'm going to ask my best mate. I don't know who your best mate is. I'm going to just call that best mate Bob. Rob and Bob, right? So you're asking Bob now. And Bob goes, Irwin? Steve Irwin? I don't know. I don't know who this Irwin is. And so you're going to go, oh, he doesn't seem that popular. So what does that all mean? Well, see, even Google, it's the same thing. Each website is like a person. It's a popularity contest. A website that is strong. So imagine you went to the President of the United States, good old Trump himself, right? And you go, hey, do you know Irwin? He goes, mate, Irwin. Actually, I don't know if this is credible or not, but imagine if you were, and it goes, hey, I know this guy. And not only is, you know what, I'd vouch for him. I've got his back. He's good. I think that vote alone would count for quite a bit because you know his position's quite high up there. He has quite a bit of authority. The same thing. If you can get authoritative websites to point back to you, and what does pointing back mean? Is if you can get your URL, so mine was chromatix.com.au, if I can get that on that website and it points back to me, you're really telling Google, who's checking to see how popular, he goes, whoa, Trump knows this guy. I might actually give that a big tick. But imagine it's not just Trump. I also know Beyonce. You know, I also know Will Smith, and I know these are popular people. I don't know why I picked those names and stuff, but they're all coming back to me. As Google, you'd be like, I think this guy's pretty good at what he does. And they keep mentioning something about websites. So I'm going to come back to this guy. It's as simple as that. And so that's what SEO people do. They try to get these backlinks for you. There's other things as well. Optimizing your website, making sure it's actually done in a proper way. So building a website structure actually affects traffic. So that's why we always say be really careful when you're building your website for conversion. Make sure you consider SEO as well and talk to SEO people as well.
Are you talking about the coding level now in the construction of how to build?
Yeah, I'm talking. So when you build your website, it's not just a pretty looking site. Pretty, which is web design, has to be matched with web development. That's the coding side. The design affects the code, and the code affects the SEO. The rankings. And that's why we say, don't just grab anyone to make your website. The structure of your house affects the whole house built. You can't build the house and then go, oh, by the way, can you change my structure? You're going to kill yourself. So a lot of people build websites with no SEO in mind. Guess what happens? Can you change my plumbing system now? Now we've got our site, and you're going, you've got to be kidding. I've got to start again. And you go, I can't. I just spent that much money on my house. I'm like, I know, but I'm sorry. You forgot your plumbing. I can't do it now. So that's why it's important. Yeah. Website first with good SEO planning.
And is that, I can only assume with this, and again, way out of my sandbox here, that you want as little code as possible to get the best result? Because I know load speed is another thing that's quite critical with SEO, and I think maybe even becoming more so because we're searching for more things on our phone. We're more and more impatient every day that we live. So is that a good assumption, or am I just proving why I don't run one of these companies myself?
Your statement is not wrong, but it's not the only thing. So, and you're absolutely right. So think about it. If I want to run fast and I'm carrying all this weight with me, of course I'm going to run slowly. And that sort of thing. So all you're saying to me is, if you drop all your weight, Owen, you're going to sprint really fast compared to the guy carrying everything. So you're not wrong. But we've found methods where you can hold a lot. So imagine I'm holding a lot, and it's me, you having a race, but I'm holding like 100 kilos of stuff, right? Who's going to be faster, you or me? Well, from face value, it looks like it's you. But I forgot to tell you, I'm actually inside a car. Now who's going to be faster, you on your legs or me in the car with 100 kilos, right? I'm going to be faster. So what I'm trying to say is there's methods of getting around. So just to prove that point, if you actually look at our website is extremely heavy with it. And what is heavy? Well, let's break it down in simple terms.
Yes, please.
A lot of images, a lot of content. We've got videos playing the moment you open it. There's a lot of effects. They all add to the heaviness of the website. But my site runs faster. And you can even Google this, actually, because there's a site called GT Metrics or Pingdom. They might not mean much to you, but you put in a website link and you can test how fast it is. I did a test recently. Our website loads in 562 milliseconds. I'm not here to boast. I'm here just to demonstrate the technical balance and stuff, just to prove that point.
And I actually did that test myself when after I met you, because it is, again, one of the critical things, right? And to get, well, it's an efficiency thing, right? Because you're trying to get the best result in the least amount of time, and the person that effectively does that the best is going to stand a great chance of being found. I would have thought.
There's this gauge that we have internally, and again, we teach this to our clients. It's what I call the annoyance meter, or if you really want to call it a piss off meter, right? But the annoyance meter. When someone comes onto your website, your aim is, like I said, attention to action. But like that first date, your aim is to not annoy the other person. Because if you really annoy them, they will get up and they'll walk out. Right? I don't know if you've ever done that. You just get up and walk out. One of the top 5, I won't go through all 5, but the top one is, by the way, is not having the contact details clearly and prominently on your website. So I can't find your phone number. Can't find your email. I'm saying I want to give you your money, but I can't find where the cash register is. That is a really poor thing. But the other biggest one is actually site speed. If your site doesn't load quickly, that annoys me. It just goes whoop like that, and the client's off. Yeah, onto your competitor.
Obviously, what's important. Now, you told me a story when we met, and I thought we might back over your journey, if that's okay, and how you found yourself into the business that you now run, and so to leave it open to you to take it whichever way that you like. Why you and why websites, and how did you find your way to that place, coming from the advertising space, as you said before?
I guess I've always had a creative funny bone in my body and stuff like that, and I've always loved human psychology, so how people think. It's just something, and I'm just wired that way. And I studied not web design, but I did a Bachelor of Information Systems, Computer Science, all that programming stuff, and did my Master's in Advertising. What led me to do websites? Well, I just thought, digital is where it's going to be in the future. We talk about technology. I think we have AI, automation coming. So digital seems to be the right direction. But it was actually funny. I actually even mentioned it just before. I love illusions like magic and stuff. And it sounds a bit geeky. I do apologize. But in 1998, a friend of mine showed me a trick for the first time, and it just stayed with me because he got my attention. And I realized that magic and marketing are no different, because it's not about fast hands or eloquent speech. It's actually about mastering human behavior and attention. And so I thought to myself, well, wait a minute, I could just make normal websites like any other Tom, Dick, or Harry. But no one wants a website. That's not the problem we solve. We want to solve the problem of you getting leads. And so I said, how do I do that? So that's where I took the principles of what I'd learned. So it's been 1998 till now. It's 20 odd years?
Yeah, 22, yeah.
It's a long time now. And we created our own framework based on those principles. And all I've been doing is one thing: specialize in this and keep testing it. And it falls under, in marketing, this word of conversion. And so we do website builds using this conversion thinking. And so clients usually come to us, usually go, you know what, I don't want to spend more money on marketing. I don't want to spend more money on traffic, because traffic's not the problem. It's not that I can't get, dates. It's just that every time I go on a date, no one wants to go on that second date. So let's slow that down and let's work on, I'm kind of almost like your dating coach, if you think about it. I'm here to help you get to that second. I'm like, it's like that movie Hitch. I don't know if Will Smith gets 2 mentions in this. But is that movie Hitch, right? He helps you to get that next date. I'm almost like that for websites. I'm like the Will Smith of websites, so I guess it's just playing that. It's just human psychology of using those techniques that I learned in the past. I still do, but on websites and stuff. So that's pretty much it.
And you are an illusionist?
Yeah, so I still have a deck of cards I usually pull out, and we do have one in the office, not that I'm in the office anymore. I guess the story I shared with you, Matt, was there's one trick that helped me to realize this, and that trick itself saved my business and actually helped me to get to where I am. And so unfortunately I can't perform it online. I would have loved to and stuff like that. But there's this one trick. All it did was remind me that it was not ever about what we say or how do we make it all salesy and stuff. No, it was actually just playing natural human behavior and taking advantage of that. And if you do things naturally, it just comes. Think about it. A first date. You don't have to game the first date. If you just be you, have good fun, you will find the right person. And if you're able to articulate it clearly, I'd be surprised if you don't get that second date.
So you used to do quite a bit of performing. Have I got that right? Did you used to do parties and that sort of thing, like back in the day? And I know I'm backing over this a little bit, and we probably should move on. But the reason that I want to just ask about this is because when I did come to meet you, you pulled out a deck of cards, and one of the things that I remembered your site for the pink flower that we've already talked about,
yep.
and then I remember you for the card tricks, right? So it's kind of the same. I can see you're lining up the psychology in both places there. But just for those listening and even watching this, some of the stuff that you did with cards in front of me was like unbelievably good. Like, I mean, I had making stuff disappear and pulling cards out of different places, and it was quite extraordinary for me because I don't think I'd ever been really that close to someone with that skill. So it's obviously something that you've worked on for many, many years. You can't develop that touch in your fingers and that sort of thing, you know, shuffling cards a couple of times a week, right? Like, you must have spent a lot of time honing that skill.
Well, I just realised it's 23 years, I think, if you count from including 1998 and stuff. If my math serves me correctly, and I married an accountant, so I'm clearly bad at numbers myself. But they say to master something takes about 10,000 hours, which I think is about 10 years. I think about it. So I've got twice that for this, and I think that I'm blessed because I'm able to apply my hobby to my career. And we've been able to work out a formula because it's the same formula. It's just different execution. One is done with cards, one is done with websites, no different. And so that's why I always say, in the same way when I showed you a magic trick, I said, don't get fooled by what I say when I do the trick or a trick deck or anything like that. If you look at the cards, they are genuine cards. It is just pure manipulation of, in this case, you. I was actually playing the human psychology of you. No offense, dude. I love you, but I'm just messing with your mind. But if you think about the marketing side, marketing is just about understanding human psychology and persuasion and the science of persuasion. And so even little things like, and baby, you see it all the time. You just don't realize it. Do you know why they have the lollies at Pancake Parlor that they give you with your bill? It's because it plays on the psychology with the science of reciprocity. And I know it just makes me sound smart saying that, but what does that even mean? It just means that if I give you something, you feel like you want to give me something. You know, you feel like, not that you owe me anything, but it's just that science of reciprocity. You feel like you want to give back. And that's why they do that. I don't think they're just here because they think, they just want to swing the breath or make you feel, no, there's actual science in it. And I'm just saying these little nuances, which are really natural. You didn't go, oh, you're conniving, those lollies, I'm watching you. No, they were actually generally being nice, but there's a little something. And so websites have tricks like that. And in cards, it's for entertainment purposes.
Yeah, and you're not a traveling illusionist at the moment, right?
Oh, no. I pull it out just for fun once in a while and stuff. I've actually done a trick for a while. I think about it now, but long gone are those days and stuff. I'm just performing for family, friends, corporates, and walking around performing.
Awesome. Now, one of the questions I'm sure you get all the time, and I guess it's a bit open-ended this, but in terms of cost, what does a decent solution cost for a website?
So I'm going to give a breakdown because, like everyone who has a service, you can't be the best fit for everyone, right? And like a car, if you walk into a dealership and you're like, I like to buy a car, well, firstly, you've got to ask, what dealership did you walk into? If you walked into a Mazda, the pricing is very different to a Mercedes or a Maserati. So if you walk in Maserati one, 100 grand plus, and you're like, whoops. And you don't want to switch it around and do the wrong thing. So I'm going to give you some advice, actually, on not what I sell, but where you should be and what to consider. And if you're not sure, I would actually ask, just reach out to me and I can point you in the right direction. Even if I can't help you, don't care. That's okay. So if you say to me, Irwin, I've got no budget, and I just need something for the first. So my first website, I just need something. And the truth is, if you can do it yourself, jump on something like Wix or Squarespace, make your own website. You've got the time, got nothing else to do. We're in lockdown anyway. You want a new hobby?
Why not come out with a new website? Yeah.
Yeah. Jump on a Wix or Squarespace. So I usually say if your budget is like under $1,000, $500 or less and stuff, you're not going to get something done by a company properly. You might as well have a crack at it yourself. And honestly, my first website was like that. I just used something free and away you go. So even I admit I did that. Okay, so no harm, no foul there. We all started with the Mazda. I still drive Mazda too, by the way. But you say to me, Irwin, my budget's now like $1,000 to $5,000. what do I do? There are companies that, I'm happy to recommend and stuff, but there are companies who do smaller sites, but you usually get more templates. You might go with a freelancer, someone who doesn't have big overheads. There are websites you can go to, like Theme Forest, and you can buy a theme. You can buy a pre-made site, and you can install it yourself. Yeah, you might need a bit of technical expertise and stuff like that, but my thing is, well, if you want to give it a crack, why not? But don't expect big things. You're just going to get a presence. So if you're looking for a brand awareness, I'll be up there for the first time, I'd say you do that.
Spent my fair share of time on Theme Forest sort of 4 or 5 years ago.
Even I had a Theme Forest website at one stage as well. We don't buy templates and sell it to clients anymore, but happy to guide and give some advice on that. But again, there are companies who can help you as well with the smaller sites. These websites, by the way, that I'm mentioning at the very beginning, we're not aiming for first page Google rankings, that kind of stuff. You've got to be honest, right? The Mazda's not going to race against a Merc or a Maserati and actually win, unless it's a top level Mazda. But just for sake of the demonstration, if you want great performance, you go this way. You've got to go north of that dollar. If not, as long as you want to get from A to B, a Mazda's more than fine. And those simple websites are fine as well. So as you move up the rankings, you go from that kind of 5 to kind of 15 space. This is where a couple of things you'll hit. Number one, maybe the team is overseas and the contact is local. So you need a company and they've got an offshore team. Do you want your best salesperson to be built overseas? I don't know. So there's quality that you want to think about. Do you know how well it's built? Just because it looks good doesn't mean it's built well. So I have a beautiful house, but what's behind my walls? I have no idea if the builder did a good job or bad. I just found my range hood recently. It broke down. But when we pulled it out, oh my gosh, behind it, whoever my builder was, I'm telling you, we're going to have a word. But when we pulled out, we're like, dude, you're missing full sections. And so that's the kind of feel. I'm just saying, if you go overseas, just be careful. And ask those questions. Do you do your work locally or overseas? And are you the one who's going to do it for me? Or are you just a sales guy just telling me the right thing? So ask those questions. But templates, some people even buy those templates and then resell it to you for 10 times the price. Be careful. But you also get these generalists. And what I mean by generalists from that 5 to 15, they'll say they do SEO, AdWords, social media, hosting, photography, videography. I'll write the words on your website for you as well. I'll give you a strategy. I'll shine your shoes. I'll wash your car. And it's just, they do everything. But that's the space that plays. And they're usually volume-based solutions and stuff now. Nothing wrong with them. I used to be that person too. I used to be that generalist. There's this no man's land, I usually, between that kind of 10 to 20, that you're neither small, you're neither big as a web company. You're kind of not a specialist, nor are you a generalist. You're not volume, but you kind of are and stuff. I actually don't know what to do with that space and stuff. So I usually leave that alone. But in my eyes, then you get the kind of like the 20, 25 plus. And these guys are usually specialists in what they do. They usually have a particular focus and an angle. So some agencies focus just on government and councils. Some just take an industry. They might go, we'll just take the law industry. For us, we took the conversion angle, and we only play human psychology in the websites we make. So the truth is, if you ask me, hey, can you make me a website? It's usually on the upper end. And again, if you're looking for a small site, of course, the price goes down. But our heart is just to point people in the right direction for the right stage of their life. My first car was a bit of a bang-up car. Again, I just need to get from A to B and just test something. That could be the website that you need, and happy to point you in the right direction. And if not, go for the next one. But we know that there's many tiers of web, and the truth is sometimes A is the best one for you, B, C, D, E, so forth.
And if you really think about it, particularly with the Google rankings we've talked about a couple of times already, there's only, 10 places on the first page, is that right? So if you get into a huge industry, you're kidding yourself to think that unless you're going to spend, in a lot of cases, 6 figures plus, right, to be on that first page, then it's just not possible, right? Like your Mazda, you can't take that down to the recently cancelled Grand Prix here in Melbourne and expect to be in the race. Like, you're just not going to be anywhere close to it. And you're probably doing yourself more disservice to think that you can and waste the time, transporting the car there and trying to race.
I think you are kidding yourself if you think you can actually beat another company that is like mega corporate who has dollars to just burn and spend, and who are actually, even during COVID-19, are just going nuts. Business as usual sort of thing. You're not going to beat them. There's a joke in the SEO world. We say, where do you hide a dead body? We call it the second page of Google. And you are right. There's 10 spots on Google. The truth is, if there are stats and there's graphs within, if you Google it, the effectiveness as you go up those rankings, just how much more you get. Because think about, I talk about human psychology. Let's play the human psychology of Googling. I'm going to type in web design Melbourne or something, whatever it is, because we're down in Melbourne. So web design Melbourne. How many of those companies would you call? You, of course, got to do your due diligence. So at least you'd call 3 people, maybe 3 of the best, right? That sounds fair. Really, you want to be, it's not the first page. You actually want to be like the top 3, top 5.
Yeah.
And so do a Google search on anything. I think if I did a Google search on web design Melbourne, I think there are 250,000 results. And I'm saying I don't want to be on second page further. I didn't want to be at first. I want to be at top 3. And so I'm going, are you kidding me? Do you know how much time? And sure, like a marathon, and picture SEO like a marathon run. I'm running, you're running. Matt, you and I decide to just take a break because I'm a bit tired. You know, I'm not as good as the picture in the back there and stuff like that. I've decided to take a break. You know what? If I start running again, do you think I'm just right next to you again? No. You've now sprinted way ahead of me. So know that SEO, you have to just keep going. You have to keep going. You cannot stop. Because the moment you stop, someone is going to take over. And the moment they take over you, I don't know if you try to beat someone, but when they're ahead of you, mate, I'm really on the back foot. But there is hope. There are other techniques of getting to the front very quickly. And so using this analogy, for me to beat you on this run, I just need my missus to come with the car. I jump in. She zooms me ahead, drops me off there. But the truth is, and what's that analogy in digital marketing terms? It's like AdWords. You can buy your way to the front. Yes, it's expensive, but you get there instantly. And so, sure, you might be freaking out going, oh, mate, this SEO thing, I don't know if I can actually go for these words. There are some opportunities. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying every word is dead. Don't ever do it. There are low-hanging fruit bits and stuff. But what I'm trying to say is there are other techniques of getting traffic to your converting website.
An example would be just one.
Yeah, well, AdWords, that technique in marketing would get you to the front. So say, for example, for all the people listening going, mate, I need a website. I can't wait 6 months to a year to get a chance to get a lead on the first page of Google. I'm too small. What can I do? Well, you might want to try something like AdWords. You want to pay Google to get you to the front. Yes, it might cost money, but yeah. You might try Facebook marketing. I mean, the cost per click for social is actually quite low at the moment and stuff like that. You might want to try LinkedIn. Or you might want to try a directory website. You know, you've got your higher pages out there. You've got all the Bark. You've got all those kind of different. You might want to feature yourself there on those directories. That could be another. There's so many different techniques, and that's why we try to give that advice to people to point them in the right direction for traffic, but we focus on the conversion side.
And also just another little thing on the overwhelming place that Google can be when you do start to try to rank for different things is that a lot of service businesses, when you break it down, you're actually in a very small pocket, right? So when you've got a lot of competition, whereas a plumber in Brighton or a plumber in Canterbury or a plumber in wherever, you're only competing against the other plumbers in that suburb. And sure, you might work outside of that, but ideally if you're chasing that clientele in that area, the competition's not actually that big for a lot of service businesses. So I suppose don't be discouraged by some of the big figures that can be spent on websites, because you don't have to do it depending on what type of your business you're in and depending what you're trying to achieve, right? And you've got to get the right designer and web team that's right for you, I guess.
My word of advice is think about marketing carefully. Don't get fooled by some sales guy going, oh, just do marketing. That doesn't mean... So I'm going to break it down really simply. For every $1 I spend for this much, will I make this much? That's all I need to know. If I spend this, because you've got to be in it to win it. You've got to spend something. Because in the same way, Matt, I will give you $1,000 in cash right now. I'll transfer it on my phone right now after this call if you give me $5,000. Right? So that's all we're doing. That's what marketing is. My problem with marketing is digital marketers sometimes make it confusing, not because they're trying to trick you, but because there's no structure or framework. And so I'm going to give you a framework that makes it really simple. And again, this is more for traffic than conversion. The reason why we help people with traffic thoughts, and again, I'm not trying to go deep into it because SEO, talk to SEO specialists, AdWords, talk to AdWords specialists. I just want to give you a framework, just at least you can make some decisions, because I want to make sure people are on your website, and that's where my magic happens and stuff, literally. So to me, on the marketing side, on the traffic side, there's only 3 methods. There's only 3. Inbound, outbound, and referral partners. So inbound, outbound, referral. So let's unpack that. Inbound is people trying to find you because they have a problem. So I'm not going to Google web design Melbourne if I don't need a web designer in Melbourne, right? True. And so there's those who are ready to buy. Remember we talked about it before, ready to buy? That's right, inquiry, right? Or I'm getting ready to buy. And so they'll come to your website and they want to read something or check out something and so forth. Again, we can talk about EDMs, and which is like newsletter, electronic newsletters and all that kind of stuff. That's a whole other thing. But inbound is people coming to you. They're looking for you. So AdWords would be part of that. The second type of is outbound marketing. It's one to many. I'm just trying to scattergun and I'm trying to get someone. That's where cold calling comes in. That's where going to networking events. And I'm going out to seek people and stuff like that. Right? Unfortunately, we can't do networking offline, but we can do it online, I guess, in some way. So going out to find people. And then referral partners. There's teaming up with people who are in the same space as you that don't clash with you, but are complementary. So like electrician might go, hey, plumber, we should be buddy-buddy because we're not going to eat each other. We're not going to take each other and cannibalize each other. But usually someone who goes, hey, this could be wrong. I do apologize, but maybe an electrician goes, hey, someone usually asks me, do you know a plumber?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Great.
Well, that happens all the time.
Let's partner together and let's refer to one another and stuff like that. And so if you think about it that way, are you trying to target people who are ready to buy? And if you are, you've got to spend some good money doing that. And that's usually the Google rankings, AdWords and stuff like that. Is your message just a brand awareness? Are you just telling people about your name and stuff? If so, by the way, I'm only talking about digital. Outside of digital, there's offline things, get a car wrap. If you're a tradie, definitely get a car wrap on the outside. I'd be so surprised if and make it stand out. I think there's one company and they did something to do with reptiles, and they literally had a big python wrap around. It looked like a python was wrapped around the van. Mate, did that get my attention? Same psychology. It's just done in the real world, not on a website. Same principles. And then so outbound stuff, are you looking to hit up all these different people? Are you looking to just get people? And again, it's a numbers game, outbound. So that's why when you make those calls, there's a lot of it. But what are you going to do to get someone's attention and cut through? Because remember, you want that first appointment. And the last place, do you know any referral partners that maybe you can team up with? And they can be a sales team. We would help each other. That's pretty much it. And you just have to have a good thing. Please don't do digital marketing in a way where it's like, oh, well, Matt's doing it, so I better do it. What if Matt's on the wrong path? If he's about to fall off, a cliff, I don't want to fall off a cliff just because he fell off a cliff. It doesn't make sense. So think through it. And that's why I say traffic comes in. Maybe, and this is my favorite one, sometimes traffic is never even the issue. You're actually getting all the people, but no one's calling you. Or even worse, forget the website. You say you've passed the website, they're onto you. You're losing it because you're not picking up the phone quick enough. Or you're not closing the deal well enough, or your pricing's wrong. My favorite one at the moment, biggest mistake, and if you're listening, there's a Honda dealership, and I've actually got your number now because you decide to give up that phone number, and I've got your service number. Every day I get 10 calls, and we try to redirect it back to you. We're doing our best. I've now given up that number because I get too many calls. But the truth is, for every call that you are losing a sale. All I'm saying is, look at your traffic and analyze it. Is that the problem? If not, it is a conversion problem. It's your sales process. Something's falling down your sales process. And in this case, it's just your phone number is incorrect on your Facebook page, on your website. That's why you're losing it. So analyze all this. It could be your operations. Maybe you're losing money there and stuff. So that's why. Think about it logically.
It's really important to audit all of this stuff, right? And I'll give you a real-life true story for myself just the other day. Google does this funny thing in their ads. and they give you the number that shows up is not your phone number all the time. Sometimes they use this another number so they can actually track who calls it, and they can give you stats on it and that sort of thing. If they use your phone number, then they'd have to ring you to get them. They'd never get it from you, so it doesn't work. So they have their own phone number. So one of the ads that we were actually running, I thought, I haven't seen that phone number before, automatically generated by Google. I better call it. So I did call it, and it didn't go to us. And it was an ad that we were paying for. So that's just one little thing that is probably a glitch in the system somewhere, and I'm sure most of the time that Google, being Google, probably does actually get it right. But that was just one thing that you do need to audit all of your own processes and systems, right? Because it's amazing. Like, I mean, I've had websites that are up for 3, 4, 5 years, and you go back and you read something and you realise there's 2 double words or there's a spelling mistake or something like that. So a good audit process, monthly, 6 monthly, whatever it is, just to go back over to make sure those channels are actually functional. It's probably something that, I've started doing because I've found some mistakes, whether it's the build process or my working process, whatever. But it makes sense to audit what you're doing to make sure that you are getting, the most value out of what you're doing, right? Because doing the right thing and making sure it works are probably 2 different things which need to be checked up on.
When I say favourite, I do feel for this client, and I'm not going to embarrass him, but the worst example of this, and it hurts. It hurts. And so I asked, I'm going to tell you the answer first. Please check your phone number on your website. Please check your forms are working, and make sure those details are correct, and your email address as well. Okay, I'm just going to put it out there. So we do a lot of website audits, and usually on the phone we usually get a free audit. So people have a chat with us. We usually just try to help them point in the right direction. So this particular call called me and he said, Irwin, we've been talking about traffic and conversion. It makes total sense. I can't floor it. I still don't get it. I've looked at my traffic and it's not working. Or is it the conversion? It's not working. I don't know why, but I'm not getting customers at all. I'm spending good money on traffic. I've looked at my website and it does all these things that you've said. And I look at it gets my attention. It says the right message. And do you know what all it was?
What's that?
It wasn't the marketing or the traffic was right. His rankings were right. It wasn't the design of the website. It wasn't the structure of the website. His phone number, he had swapped 2 numbers around by accident. It's an expensive one. He wasn't getting the phone calls, and people were complaining, and then no one told him because they couldn't get through because he had no email form. So the only method they could contact him was through his phone number and no form. They go, they go to the competitor. Oh, how painful is that? We swap it around, somehow works. And so sometimes just having someone to look at it stuff. So conversion is more important. It's not about the design, not about how you say, it's the attention to detail, to the little things.
Yeah, absolutely. Another one of the companies of ours, I'm not sure if I told you this story or not, but we had a potential client ring and say, are you affiliated with X down the road? And we said, well, no, we're not. Why would you assume or think that? And they said, because your websites are exactly the same. I said, okay, well, what do you mean by that? Oh, well, go and look. They're exactly the same. So the company down the road had just gone and copied and pasted off our website and just put it in their own.
Oh, man.
Word for word. So you do have to also be aware of what goes on. And you would have seen a lot of this stuff, right? Wrong phone numbers, things like this happen all the time. But because it's not in front of you, because it's not, for me being a hands-on, very sort of practical person, if it's buried inside my computer or in a bit of technology or whatever, I don't go looking for it. It's not my natural instinct to check these things. So if you are in sort of like that physical space, playing in digital, which you need to obviously these days, then you've got to make sure that you have these checking things in place. So a couple of good hard lessons there, and good war stories for you. Website war stories.
Can I leave you one tip? And this has actually saved us 1,000,000 times. On your website browser, and what that means is when you open up Google or your computer ready to surf the net, set the home page not as Google. Set the home page as your website. Okay. Because the truth is, it's like someone, I used to work for Telstra, and I used to say, what's your phone number? And they go, I don't know, I don't call myself, right? Yeah. In the same way, you don't really check, I don't go to my website every day to check it, do you? I don't know about you, but I've got better things to do. But what if your website's been hacked? What if it's gone down? What if it's been defamed, or what if something's broken? You have no idea. And if you're never checking it, they're in trouble. So we've asked our staff to put our website as their homepage.
Yes.
I do it as well. And how many times when it's gone down? Oh, my hosting's maybe gone down. Maybe I've been hacked. Maybe something's gone wrong. Whatever the solution is, doesn't matter. At least I can call my web guy. The worst thing you have is for 2 weeks, your best salesperson has been sick and you don't even know it. You have to treat your website as your best salesperson, your best wingman, like we said before.
Yeah, SSL certificates forget to renew and then websites go down and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, that's very good advice.
And I also had I could go on for days, but I had an international client. She's quite famous, actually. Her website was down. The reason why, she didn't pay her hosting bill.
Yeah.
Simple as that. $20.
Yeah.
Forgot to put her credit card details there just to renew. And her clients are huge. We're talking like she has, HP, Facebook, MasterCard, all of his clients for $20. But if she had it as a background, she would have actually caught it and actually done something about it.
Check your site. Good message there. All right, well, we're going to try and wrap this up because we can go on telling war stories probably all night, but we've both got things to move on and do. So I always ask, what do you see in the future for yourself in business? Is the plan to continue to grow? What's the rough strategy? Do you think about planning and where do you sit maybe 10 years?
You heard it here first as well. I'm about to let out some
this is an exclusive.
Exclusive, stop the press. That's the thing. And if I don't do it, it's going to be quite embarrassing. But we're actually using COVID. We talk about COVID-19 as an opportunity to adapt and to innovate businesses and stuff. And I think it's still a very prominent and very true message. And one thing, funny enough, is we've decided to not do something different. What we do is still doing really well. I've decided to add something to what we do. I've told you we master conversion. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I wanted to build a product. So imagine this, and this is what I imagine, and this is what I've been testing for the last 8 years and planning for the last 2, and now I'm building a prototype for this. Imagine the promise that I could actually just simply add something to your existing website. So say you went with a $1,000 website, $5,000 website, 15, 10, 20, whatever it was, and you're saying, I'm not changing it, Irwin, and I want to increase my conversions. And I go, you know what? Just take this thing and install on your website. If you install it, it will help you with your conversion rate. I'm not saying, it's going to rain money. I'm just going to say, of all the marketing coming to your existing website, you'll just get more inquiries. That's the promise. I've now worked out what that thing is. And actually, I'm building it. I'm also testing with a few clients already. One client, I can't even say their name. I can't even tell you the results because it's actually but we got more than 50% increase in conversions just because of this one thing. And the truth is, I don't want to build something that costs $1 million either, right? And so we're building into hopefully a SaaS business. And what does SaaS mean? It's pretty much pay as you go every month. Pay what? I haven't worked out the pricing model. Couple of bucks or whatever, 2 digits, hopefully, or low 3 digits per month. But then you get to jack it up. And if you're making money this much and you're just paying this much per month, I think that's worth it. Return on investment we talked about. So we're doing what we're doing with conversion websites. We're still giving people audits and putting people in the right direction, but also now working on this tool. So why? There's a bit of automation in there. And at automation, you asked me that future question. I think automation and reducing operational costs is where things are going to go, especially with COVID-19. I don't think people want to spend a lot of money on stuff if they can't see a return. So rather than promising people marketing, which is more traffic, I'd rather go, you know what, I think I can save you money. Spend the same amount, no more on marketing. Do these little tweaks and you can actually make a lot more. I think everyone's happy to reduce their operational costs, to reduce their own natural spending. So that's my prediction. And that's where we're going as well.
So I feel like I have to ask, can you give us a little bit on what this product or addition to the website may be?
Oh, that's the fun. I can't let out. We have a name. We've got everything.
Okay.
I just need to get one next step. But if you're curious to find out, maybe shoot us a buzz or something like that. I'd love to kind of keep in touch. But it's going to be a marketer's dream is our part and promise. And like I said, you've got to put your money where your mouth is. So let's see what happens.
I always ask for book or documentary recommendations when we come to the close of these things. So have you got any great books that you recommend in terms of entertainment or business? You can take it Either way.
Yeah. The first book I ever read was E-Myth. That was a fantastic book. That was when I had the entrepreneur bug and I was trying to work out, what's it all about and stuff. That was really good. Currently, I'm kind of going through the lean startup. So again, starting a SaaS business, you do want to make sure you keep things lean. What does that mean? You don't want to spend $1 million on your first car. You just got to bang around anyway. So you want to buy something nice and cheap. Same thing with your website. Don't spend big if you want to keep it small and start small. So they're the kind of ones that I'm kind of just pressing into right now. And Barefoot Investor is always a good one just for families and stuff. It's a nice one to have in the back, your back pocket as a bit of you and your missus having good chats and stuff about your finances and where you're at. So yeah, that's pretty much what's on my mind at the moment.
So you read The Barefoot Investor and then you decided to go into startup, right? To a SaaS product. Are they closely? They're kind of at other ends of the spectrum, aren't they? You need to reread that book.
Yeah, or my Mojo account's really big, and I'm just now investing and stuff like that.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's the case and stuff. But no, definitely, it's actually helped us to teach I've got 2 daughters, and I think it's really helped us to set them up to teach them basic finance. I know they're only 9 and 6, but just the idea of saving. You save jar, you give jar, you spend jar, all that kind of stuff. I think it's been really a good teaching point and a good reminder for us as well to save money, to spend money, because we got to keep this economy going. But most importantly, also to give, because I think sometimes we forget about others, and a lot of people are in need too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the levels we save at and the levels that we spend at are going to be recalibrated as we come out of this COVID-19 epidemic and lockdown and all the rest of it. So any parting words, Irwin, anything you want to add? Give us your website, spell your website, your email, just anyone who wants to get in contact with you, how do they do it?
Yeah, if anyone wants to connect, definitely jump on and test me out. What I say, chromatix.com.au. So I'll spell it CHROMATIX.com.au. And just as a fun fact there, Matt, Chromatix chromatic actually means the science of colours. We don't play, and that's what it actually means. And so it is the science of how we put things together to make it work. That's what it's so Chromatix, CHROMATIX.com.au, and hello@chromatix.com.au sends emails directly to us, and I'll recognise them if they mention this podcast. And again, to anyone who is listening, who just wants to just go, I'm actually looking to do web stuff, I'm going to say, I'm going to put my hand up and say, I don't want to do your website. It's a nice way to kind of ease the pain of going, he's going to sell me a website. I'd rather just point in the right direction. And if I can help you with that, great. And if I can't, that's cool as well. As long as I can give some advice, there's too many, there's a lack of good information out there. So yeah, hopefully I can help out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Irwin, for
pleasure.
Carving out a little bit of your evening, and I look forward to catching up with you soon.
It's been fun, and hopefully we can do another magic trick another time.
Yeah, we've got to do it in person next time, right? We've already half planned this next one. It was a shame that we couldn't be together and show some of this stuff. I did actually find a couple of things that you did online, actually, just as a little side note before we go. So in regards to the cards and the magic and that. So if you really want to know, then you can find a couple of things online if you search hard enough.
I guess as a last line, as an outro, what we do is not mind-busting kind of brain surgery stuff. It's just common sense. What I love is that common sense isn't so common. And when you actually hear the principles as you've heard and as we've gone through with you, I don't think you've gone, I've never... wow. I think you just go, that makes sense, but why are we doing it? We just bring the common sense back to natural web design that makes it work. But thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ellen.
Thanks a lot.
Hey everybody, it's Matt again. Thanks for listening. Just a couple of things before you guys clock off. You can get all Trench Talk episodes at xrm.com.au/podcast. You can also sign up for other goodies at the same site. Just plonk your email in there and you are covered. That's X for X-ray, R for Romeo, M for Mike.com.au/podcast. If you really like what I'm bringing you, please head to iTunes, subscribe to this show and leave a review right there. And lastly, if you want to contact me directly, type the @ symbol followed by Mr. Matt Reynolds into your search bar and you'll find all the social links. Goodbye.